Good morning. I'm Susan Long. I've been a member here for over 15 years, and like many of you, I've served in various ministries along the way, including teaching first and second grade Sunday school with my good friend Amy Heber, and currently serving as a counter with my husband Russ and Woody and Carol Woodward. I also serve on the Stewardship and Finance Ministry, and I am one of the team leads of the hospitality teams that are hosting the Chili Cook-Off. And I invite you all to come to the Chili Cook-Off right after this worship service. My mission moment will last about 5 minutes, and I will conclude with a call to action. The title of my mission moment is Why We Pledge. And I just wanted to let you know that is some very intentional foreshadowing on my part. So I'm going to start with the why part. Curtis and Marnie can teach us why we return a portion of everything that we have been given back to God. But my why is more specifically about Newlonsburg. Quite simply, we believe in our mission statement, and our experience is that this church fulfills that mission. So I think of our mission statement as a bulleted list or maybe a PowerPoint slide. We are a Christ-centered community, and in joyful response to Christ's love, we do 4 things. We worship God, we nurture disciples, we accept all as God's children, and we reach out in love and service. So I'm being very intentional in the use of my word we in why we pledge. So these days, the we is Russ and myself. I'm the one up here talking. Russ is more of a quiet saint. I'm very glad that there is a name for that. But if dedication were to be measured by the number of round trips driven to this church, Russ would win hands down. Especially during those years when our kids were in middle school and high school, and he was making 3 round trips on a Sunday evening, taking our kids to Lost Fish, as he called it, because he could remember the exact name of our youth groups. But it is through 3 generations of our family that we know that this community fulfills its mission. And that is my story for today. 18 years ago, after my father Winston died, my mom, Betty, who was in the early-ish stages of dementia, came to be with us here in Pittsburgh. Redstone Highlands was under construction, and so she came to live with us. Russ and I had been raising our 3 children in the Catholic faith tradition, but I knew that attending Mass would be way too big of a change for my lifelong Protestant mother. And so she and I came here. And you welcomed her. In the beginning, you served her through the Stephen ministry. And in the middle, as deacons, you called on her. And as carolers, you sang to her at Christmas, which she loved. And in the end, when she could no longer walk or speak or even feed herself, you made it possible for the pastors to call on her and to serve her communion, and to minister to her, and I understand now, to minister to me. And it is through that experience that we know that this church accepts all and reaches out in love and service. And you welcomed our kids. Mike came here every week for Boy Scouts. He was a member of Troop 205 and was here most Monday nights for 6 years. More round trips for Russ. Mike even did his Eagle Scout project here, renovating the area around our sign out front. All 3 kids got involved here, in particular with the work trips and all the good things that come along with that, car washes and cookie walks. You nurtured our kids and you gave them opportunities to reach out in love and service. From Kathleen assisting in 3rd and 4th grade Sunday school, to Jen becoming a storyteller in Children in Worship. And when their grandma died, and their funeral home was filled with grown-ups that they didn't know, it was the youth director who came to hang out with them, very specifically with them. A small gesture for her, but something that meant the world to me. So, pledging, for me, is the easy part to talk about. Any organization, for-profit or nonprofit, that has employees and a building to operate needs to have a budget. The three largest components of our budget, also known as the Common Good Fund, are salaries and benefits for our staff, operating and maintaining this building, and outreach. 10% of our operating budget is dedicated to outreach. See bullet number 4, reaching out in love and service. Our pledges in October become our budget in November as we're planning for our budget for the following year. One of many things that I've learned here at Newlonsburg is the power of a personal invitation. As I told the 8:30 service, our first experience with that was with Ty Radcliffe. So Ty Radcliffe used to teach 8th grade Sunday school, and he made it a practice to visit the rising 8th graders over the summer to personally invite them. We were visitors. We did not know this until one evening when Ty Radcliffe showed up on his motorcycle in our driveway and said to my husband, "I'm here to visit your daughter." And Ty did personally invite Kathleen, and much to my surprise, this kid who was not at all a morning person did agree to come to Sunday school. Just a year or two later, Marnie approached Kathleen and personally invited her to go on her first lost sheep work trip. To our surprise, Kathleen said yes, and that became the first of many service trips for her, including one summer when she was living in a homeless shelter, but that's a whole different mission moment. And then culminating in a full year of service with the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. More recently, I was serving on the Board of Deacons, and I was working to build up the 11 o'clock childcare team, that group that serves in the nursery while we're in here in worship. And my fellow deacon, Lois Nesbitt, said to me, "Susan, you gotta look them in the eye. Announcements and emails won't work." And so I am doing my very best to make a personal invitation. And remember, I'm going to be at the chili cook-off after this. I'm doing my very best to look you each in the eye and say, next week is Dedication Sunday. Will you join us in making a pledge so that we can continue to fulfill the mission of this church? Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Good job.